So when people ask me, what do you mean by 3D and what do you actually do at one of these big workshops? It's not what I do, it's what you do. Basically what I teach you is the systemic framework. In other words, what are the 3 principles that you will always find in systems? How do those keep me stuck? And how do those unstick me? What are the 4 governing orders that exist in all principles? So it's that little piece. But then what we do is then we start to have fun, right? Because then we divide you into groups, or you interact with me, and we begin to listen very carefully to what you're saying, and we watch very carefully what you're doing. And as you're working with me in the knowing field, the representatives may begin to move, or you may begin to move. And suddenly you're seeing this, you're feeling it, and it comes from a completely different perspective. And for 90% of people, they will say, it's the first time I'm seeing it. Yeah, it literally is the first time you're seeing it. When we see what's in here, in front of us, now we can interact with it. Now it becomes something that is a reality that lives in our bodies. So there's a lot of embodied experience. And now we can do something very, very different with it. So when you come to these workshops, they're highly interactive, they're totally experiential, and they are completely about you. You get to move you from here to where you want to be. You get to move from what is to what's possible. All the time we work, we're moving from what is to what's possible. And acknowledging what it is a huge first step. It allows what's possible to start swimming into focus.
Judy is a phenomenal facilitator. She's very kind, very knowledgeable, and she will guide you every step that you are working through this with her. And then she'll also guide you into learning how to facilitate the process so that you can become empowered yourself. And so it's an amazing process of discovery for you, and to learn how to be a facilitator, or if you just want to come and actually be the change that you want to be. So she's an amazing person and a wonderful guide.
Well, she is the most skillful constellation practitioner I've ever been with and worked with. And she has a light about her of positivity that's very impactful. Just by being around her, I think that things shift in very subtle ways and sometimes in big ways, but after we leave a workshop, things are changed.
This work has served my life personally because there were some things in my history, my family's history, that were like blind spots, that were secrets, that as I've done this process, it helped open that up, and you made a huge difference in what I was able to move forward with and away from what had been holding my whole family system back, my mother's mental illness. And it just made a huge difference in my life. I can't even begin to explain how that is, but it was very transformational and a huge impact. I do think that Judy is probably one of the most gifted teachers I've ever worked with. She's quite remarkable in her intuitiveness and the way she steps in, and it's always with kindness and it's always with clarity. I'm not sure how she does that, but she sees it in a way that helps you take it in and translate it into something that's workable and takes the sting out of it some way or other. It's really amazing and remarkable work.
First of all, Judy is absolutely brilliant. Judy has the most amazing, generous, loving heart. She's a true magician in terms of her ability to really have deep insight and affect, change. I personally love her dearly. She has taught me in Denmark, and I've come here now in Orlando to continue my practice and training with her. Just a super human being, and obviously her brilliance and her insight, and she's one of the best teachers I've had, and actually one of my favorites. I think it's firstly very important work. It's work that looks at a system, looks at how we got to be where we are today, and to be a choice in terms of really being very mindful and conscious about the choices we want to make of how we want it to be different going forward. But it served me personally in a number of ways in terms of being able to recognize some of the patterns that kept repeating that were not serving me well, and being able to really change certain things at a more conscious level, and also even recognizing things from my family history, from my past, that were influencing even today at a very unconscious level, to become very conscious of it. And in that process, really then be able to affect a change.
I can't receive it, which of course is never smart, because the minute that you can't receive the compliment, all you're doing is plotting negative data, right? You don't have an accurate map. And the same goes for this. When you can't acknowledge where you are, what you need, and how far you've come, you're never really moving forward. So what I want you to do is start noticing what you're doing right, and also where your gaps are.
People have observed me and said that I'm much more open, I'm much less judgmental of myself, and so it has helped me remove judgment. And the purpose of systemic coaching and systemic like life review is to remove judgment and make things kind of not emotionally neutral, because you can't take emotion out of anything, but not judge the emotion. There is no good and bad. It is what it is, and it's meant to help give you actions to move forward and make things useful. I have been fighting this stupid thing tooth and nail. I came in, I'm very like scientific method, and if you can't prove it and measure it, then it's not worth anything. So I think the fact that I'm a supporter of it is actually, I think it speaks volumes, because I didn't want to. I was somewhat here under duress. So to those of you who are doubters, or to those who out there think that this is a little too woo-woo for them, say give it a shot and come in, be doubtful, because they eat it for breakfast.
Why do people do this? There are two reasons. One is they're super stuck and nothing's helped, but the other one is they begin to get a sense that there is A, more to life than this, and B, that there is more to them than they know. And they're in search of that next piece of the puzzle. They're the ones who say, I want more, I'm going to go and do more, here's a step I can take. So it allows them to move themselves forward. And it also allows themselves the full embodied and full on-bodied experience of what's going on in their heads. And we know that when you use multiple senses, it anchors tighter in your body, and it shifts quicker, and the shift is lasting. Any event, again, to remember, at any event, an event creates immediate reaction and decisions, and then it begins to create language around that and actions to support it. Those turn into a pattern. The pattern turns into a mindset. The mindset is what we call the truth, only it's our truth, not the truth, and every single one of you can change.
In 2018, I went to Disney and participated in Success DNA. For me, I was at a point where I really wanted to look at raising my game to the next level and engaging not only with Judy and the course material that we had there, but others in the course who were a mixture of coaches and people who were looking to improve their Success DNA. I was able to exponentially accelerate my learning and, more importantly, my application. That's what you get when you go to one of these workshops. You can learn a lot of theory from a lot of people, but when you experience the workshop with Judy, you spend a lot of time figuring out how to apply it, do it, and then get real-time feedback from people who really are knowledgeable in this area as well. So it really helps ground it within you, so that you can learn and grow as an individual. But then if you are a coach or in a position where you want to help others with that, you can learn how to apply it to others as well. In addition, you get to do a lot of cool things at the Disney parks that really support the learning that you're doing, which is around creating magic and transformation. So through the elements of play and fun, you get the chance to really reinforce the theoretical learning that you're doing during the day. I wouldn't miss it if I were you.